right.
Why is your arms crossed? That's not what's not.
No, we're keeping that in for.
Yeah, we're keeping it because how much you suck, man.
Yes.
Okay.
We're keeping this in the output.
What outtakes?
Okay.
This is in, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So bringing it in. All right, bringing it in. We are nerds on the couch, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Yeah, sure. Okay, because we've been arguing about the names and all that. And this is going to be a video podcast, all right? Here's the guys.
Well, I'm David.
Charlie.
They're a couple.
Yeah.
No, but, okay.
Get used to this. It's all the time.
I'm sorry. I apologize in advance for this stuff.
Well, since we're doing introduction, should I introduce me or?
Well, now
you're not in it.
Yes, she is.
Yes, I am. I was in the first video before you guys were.
Yes, she was.
my camera person is my daughter, Amanda, and the grumpy cat over there next to Amanda's my wife, Annette.
Leave the grumpy cat alone.
Yeah, leave her alone. Okay.
That would sound like that other guy.
Just leave her alone. No. This weekend, okay, we had a couple of things. We're looking forward to summer movies and all that, and we saw our technically first one, G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Oh. Yeah, awesome.
We're gonna a couple of things about it. First of all, one, it's a sequel to the first one. A lot of people don't think the first one was that good. I mean, the film.
Loved it. I love the toys. All my toys were in it. I mean, I used to play with them and imagine them in real life, and here they were.
Cut them off.
Yeah, well, come on. You had the Warthog. And you also have the Hess tank. I don't remember the flying vehicles nor the skiff. That one that was in
the off-roader. I forgot the name of the off-roader, but I had it when I was a kid. It was a remote control. It was a remote control toy.
Yeah, I even remember that from the series.
This is two generations here because I'm from the original generation with the G.I. Joe doll that was yay high.
Kung Fu grip.
It actually came in the box.
It looks like you have arthritis. It doesn't look like
arthritis grip.
That's the elderly. Do you remember the toys when they used to have the Kung Fu grip? You used to put the guns in their hands and then they would wear out?
No.
The grip, the grip would wear out. And then you'd have to bend in their fingers and sometimes they broke off.
They made them.
And then you end up with a G.I. Joe going ahead and doing, making obscene hand gestures.
I don't know about that, but Oh yeah, the military never did that.
Excuse me, Mr. David. So when did the original first G.I. Joe toys came out?
Well, actually,
years ago.
But actually, the original ones, of course, were a lot older than what they used to play with. I mean, of course, the term G.I. Joe came from the 1940s, in which, what was Ernie Pyle actually termed calling the GIs there on Iwo Jima, I do believe, G.I. Joes, basically going ahead and coining the phrase. In the 1950s, in the 1960s, they had actual military figures, and basically it was sort of a Ken doll in military fatigues.
Well, that was their thing, was that girls were playing with their dolls.
And they wanted to go ahead and give one for boys.
And they weren't going to call it dolls, and this is a unique thing about those G.I. Joes. They turned action figure.
First action figure.
Girls play with dolls, guys play with
action figures.
In the 80s, we grew up on the G.I. Joe with the Real American Hero and Cobra. And I got into it. I had the little action figure guys. You know, I had the different guys. I had two ninjas. No, they're not that big.
We'll have to bring one to go and see.
I don't have one.
What was the best part of the new toys? What was the best part of the new toys, though? Remember, the bios in the back was what made the toys great.
Yeah.
You flipped it in the back. It told you what kind of skills the guy had. That was cool.
Well, and I will agree with that. And it was a very smart marketing ploy of theirs because they differentiated and also created a new market for, you know. In my day, you would go ahead and have one G.I. Joe doll.
I never read them.
But then,
I did.
In the 80s, they caught on, go ahead and make them smaller, but to go ahead and make them individual. You had Snake Eyes, you had Duke, you had all of the different ones. Then they went ahead and had Lady J in there for the G.I. Janes out there that wanted to go ahead and, you know, girls that actually played with boys' toys.
Maybe.
Basically, they caught on that, you know, if you make them smaller, make them different, you're going to be able to sell more product.
Yeah. What do you guys like?
Action.
Action?
It had a lot more action than the first one, I'll agree.
More testosterone, less. In the first movie, my biggest complaint was this. Yeah, you had Channing Tatum. The women love him. Us guys, we got annoyed that it was more about
I don't know if that was
unindividual soul, you know.
No, I don't like Channing Tatum. When I was watching him now, I didn't see Duke.
You know,
I saw Magic Mike. You know, I was expecting him to take off his army.
Yeah. I mean, Duke in the show was the leader. He was, you thought of him as a leader. He was a serious guy, and then you have this guy. You know, kind of like, he's just like, one of the guys, and we're going to go ahead and party.
He just showed off, that's all he did.
Well, you know, he was a pretty boy, but the thing is that you couldn't see that this pretty boy would be able to go ahead and get any kind of Uzi in any kind of situation and go ahead and kick ass.
Did you believe he was an army?
Well, okay. Yeah. To start off with, and this is a comment you've made before, and I always agree with that. Anytime I make this comment, you know, I give you credit because you came up with it. On any movie that starts out with, when you come up with an origin story, it's hard. It's the first one. You're introducing the characters. So there's not a lot you can do with that. It's an introduction story. Mm-hmm. Second one, you can do a lot more with it because you've already established the characters. You don't have to retell that story.
Did you believe that Channing Tatum?
I had no problem with Channing Tatum. He was okay in the first one. He was okay in the second one.
I just can't believe that
Wolverine Origins. Okay, they had Will.i.am, you know, with a gun. I can't think of any other movie that looked more ridiculous than that with him in a gun. Okay, Channing Tatum, he could handle a gun. I could buy it. Will.i.am, come on. That was terrible.
I couldn't believe it was Channing Tatum.
You know,
and then
Channing Tatum worked.
In the first movie, Ripcord himself. Yeah, he's comic relief, but also could I believe in him going ahead and being the type of guy that really has the skills necessary to go ahead and kick ass like a G.I. Joe would? My answer, no. What do they need to do? They need to form into power suits. What the hell?
That is a big plus. No, that's a big plus for me. There were no power suits in this movie whatsoever.
Yes, it was male testosterone, not needing of them.
I blame that. I think some, and we discussed this. More than likely, some producer said, you know what, it would look better if they had power suits. Okay, which has nothing to do with G.I. Joe. Now, I'll grant you, that was a great thing about this one. It stuck more. It stuck truer to G.I. Joe than the first one with the power suits.
Yeah, and what was special about G.I. Joes? It was their skills.
Part of it, yes. You had specialties. You had, again, we're going into the deep, we're going into the ocean. We're going to have a mission ocean. You got a set of G.I. Joes to do it. You got torpedo, you got a scuba diver guy, you had some sea vehicles and all that. Yojo, they go in there. Yeah, shipwreck.
Basically stuff that we have today.
Do you have an airplane? They had specialists. They had special jets with a fighter.
The shark.
And you know what? I'll give you credits on this one. On the first one, they looked like they were always getting beat up. On the second one, they were at the first scene. They show you they work as a unit. They accomplish their mission.
Yeah.
They got betrayed, but they accomplished their mission. That was great.
And now, talking about the guy, what about the main star? Roadblock, who is a standard G.I. Joe guy, He came out tons of times in the cartoons, and we talked about it. How did you guys rate The Rock? I guess he goes by Dwayne Johnson. How do you rate him?
You can actually believe that he can kick ass. With Shannon Tatum, no. I could see Shannon Tatum get his ass kicked.
I could see him handling Roadblock's weapon. He can actually, you can see,
especially when he goes ahead and actually gets out the machine gun. Anything. I mean, it really is.
He's more believable.
I mean, he's much more believable. But being able to go ahead and accomplish the job. Shannon Tatum, I didn't believe that. In the first movie, I was like going, okay, he's a whiny little about whining again and again about his girlfriend and
stuff like that. Yeah, I mean,
it just went on and on.
But you know what? The only thing I've missed was Roadblock's whining. He always did that in the series. I loved it. I missed it.
I had a big problem with Roadblock. I didn't like him.
Really?
I like The Rock. I'm jaded from the series. Roadblock really was not a leader. If you look at the original series, Roadblock was just a guy that was around. He wasn't the guy that was leading anybody. You never saw him lead anybody.
No, he had big moments. He had
moments. I'm not denying that, but he wasn't a leader.
And okay, to go ahead and defend what he's going ahead and saying is, in the beginning of the movie, it looked like Duke wasn't really the leader. It was Roadblock.
Yeah, no. They told you in the beginning.
No, it was not.
No, in the way that they were working, it was sort of like, their buddies.
No. If anything, Roadblock was like a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Okay? And Duke was a leader. It was clearly established.
He was like,
in fact, my biggest problem with the whole Rock being Roadblock thing was, or Dwayne Johnson, I should say, was that I found them more compelling when Duke was there, when Shannon Tatum was there, when they were acting together. I found these scenes more. I found Roadblock more compelling there than Alone. Alone, he just seemed like a one-dimensional character. Just okay. Oh, I'm gonna shoot. That's it.
One of
you
the
never
things,
really see anything anymore out of that.
One of the things that I will go ahead and say is this: the heroes in G.I. Joe, they're not what really makes the movie, if anything makes the movie good. It's not the heroes. And you guys have heard me say this in other, about other movies and all that. Often it's the villain that makes the movie cool.
I
liked, in regards to this movie, I think it was defined by the guy.
Again, I think what ended up happening is that it wasn't Roadblock that was necessarily important. I think it was The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. That they were some movie studio mogul guy who was like, hey, we got Dwayne Johnson to join the G.I. Joe franchise, and he's going to take over it. He's a star. What shall we name him? And they were like, okay, let's look through our list. We can't name him. I mean, he's not going to be Ripcord. There you got Ripcord. So we got to say, the other guy that came to mind was, no. I was thinking like other leaders.
You know what?
They had Stalker.
If it would have been me, Stalker.
He doesn't fit the role.
Yeah, I think Stalker fits better than Roadblock.
No. The Rock does not look like Stalker.
Well, okay.
I think what they did...
But then again, the Roadblock... But then again, see, it's a clash between action and the character.
No, but what did they do? They looked at the Rock...
Right, and they picked the Rock over the character, which is I have a problem with that.
He's big enough that he looks like Roadblock.
They could have gone ahead and put Shia LaBeouf in.
That was low blow.
They could have gone ahead and done a Transformers, going ahead and totally reinventing it. They got closer to the mark than what we were afraid of.
Okay, I will concede that it's better. It's better than Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that.
And Lindsay Lohan was not leading.